So, our agenda for discussing television. I'm going to start with an overview, which is actually a fairly lengthy section, I guess I should say, on its own. Just kind of putting out some of these issues and trying to give a bird's eye view of where television is right now, including recent Emmy Award winners, and but all I think kind of from a bird's eye view. Then very quickly, what is TV? You know, I like definitions. This is, I think, about one slide. Then the technology, and I always like the technology. Also, I'm kind of a believer that if you're going to work in a business, you should know how it works. No, I'm not going to take a Phillips screwdriver and take apart my TV set and show you everything inside it. In fact, on my TV set, you can't even really touch the screen or you're going to have a problem anyway, but we will get some sense of what's going on with the technology. Then the history. TV basically, the radio companies, radio technology, radio advertisers, radio content, all just flipped over from radio once they could do a visual with the sound, and TV just started. It's like radio just divided in half. And there were two beings. One was TV, one was radio. Radio was half the size, and TV started, and TV grew like a weed, and radio not so much. We're going to talk about TV content, and here I'm actually I found these wonderful, each one's about 10 minutes. Part of that discussion is going to be showing you programming highlights, the 10 most influential programs in every decade, and these tend to be series as opposed to one-shot programs like the Beatles on Ed Sullivan or the moon landing or something. So you got them for the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, a lot of them. So it's watching some video, and this is what I meant when I said there's maybe some overlap with your mass media class. I didn't, but to my mind, it's important to understand the progression of the content on TV. And you'll see some shows there you're going to be familiar with that are still around in one form or another. I'm going to talk about buying TV. I had some long talks with my good friend Andy Starr, who spent his whole career in TV and sales management, running sales for a local TV station here in New York, among other things. And I picked his brain quite a lot for how that works. We're going to talk about TV ratings. I'm going to talk about creative for TV. Then we're going to talk about the business, key players in this complicated business. I'm going to try to summarize and kind of bring it all together and kind of show you why it's all in flux. And of course, we'll talk about the TV impression, and we're thinking about the TV impression and what it is kind of as we go through all these things. We've already said it's like the highest quality, most expensive impression, most persuasive medium. But we'll kind of bring that into the summary, and we'll talk about, of course, advantages and disadvantages of TV. And that's what we will do. Now, of course, I've got to do something here to be able to. There we go. All right, so we start with our overview. And this is more or less our list of media types as we've been working through things this semester. We've talked about radio, we talked about out of home, we've talked about all of print, magazines, direct mail, newspaper, and today we are talking about TV. And the next two will be a separate one kind of for internet, and then another lecture for mobile. And that's going to wrap up. We're really not, PR is kind of comes up as we move through, I would say, not as a separate medium. This I pulled right out of your great book, She puts this right at the beginning of her discussion of TV, and it really kind of sets the stage in a very macro sense. Wow, just about every household in America has at least one TV set. Quite a few have more. Quite a few have 3 or more, over half the adults. $74 billion, the largest mass medium available for advertisers. People watch an average of 8.1 hours each day. Highest viewing figures anywhere in the world. And smart TV sets that are connected to the internet are growing and growing and growing. So this baby is big. A little bit more on the overview. 74 billion she cites. I think that's for 2017. 2015 it was 71.1 billion. Cable is a component of that. You can see that. That's growing. Networks, the ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox are the networks, not growing so much. The cable networks are included in cable. Now, spot TV, we haven't, I think, really talked about too much. But spot TV is when you buy TV locally. Okay, so spot TV is when you go to a local market, as we talked about for radio, and you make a buy on a local TV station that just runs in a certain area, your spot. That is spot TV. So just think about spots and polka dots. And I'm putting it on this spot. I'm spending in this spot. I'm spending in this spot. I'm spending in the other spot. And of course, these days we have these amazing new players, these streaming services, and of course there are more and more. We've got Disney Plus now. We have Apple launching a streaming service. HBO has got its own streaming service, and streaming services are coming out of the woodwork. TV bleeding into the internet. Each network and channel and local station, by the way, has a website which can run on a mobile phone. And beyond that, video content is moving into the internet, into different devices. From these big TV sets with lots of impact to smaller computer screens and even smaller mobile phone screens. The trade associations, one of the big ones in TV for the last 25 years, used to be called the CAB, the Cable Advertising Bureau, and their job, just like the out-of-home Outdoor Advertising Association of America and MPA, the Magazine Publishers Association, are for print and for out-of-home. The CAB now is called the Video Advertising Bureau, by the way, and its role is to help market the concept of advertising in cable networks and local cable stations, to help market it to agencies and advertisers, but also to represent the industry to the government and just generally. Online video is huge, and mobile is growing the fastest. So mobile video, probably the fastest growing little ad segment in the country right now. We also have factors like ad avoidance with TiVo and DVRs, skipping ads, avoiding ads. And then we have this new consumer habit thanks to the streaming services. And Netflix was the first one. They put one of their shows, they decided to load the whole darn season on at the same time and see what would happen. And voila, we've got binge watching on the subscription services. So TV is in flux. It is still the most powerful and persuasive medium we've ever seen. They're the networks. Fox now just has sports. They sold their entertainment content to Disney. Interesting choice. Sports and news, I should say, on Fox, which is appointment viewing TV. You don't really want to stream the last month worth of news. Not too many people do that I'm aware of. Anyway, so they kept the appointment viewing stuff, the news and the sports, and sold the streaming stuff, if you will, to Disney. cable, 900 plus channels, networks. That was in 2014, a long time ago. Average subscriber is 180. It's a little more than that now. There's cord cutting going on, by the way. It's another thing that puts things in flux. People not wanting to subscribe to a cable network anymore, but going direct through the internet to get their programming. Interestingly, it's still probably coming on the same cable, so to speak. But they get some savings that way. Spot TV, again, are these local stations. You think about the New York market, and you've got a WABC, WCBS, WNBC. These are the local network affiliates based here in New York. You also have independent stations. Channel 11, PIX. You've got WLNY, which is a Long Island local station. You've got public TV too, by the way. Public television is another network, by the way. But there are local stations even for public TV. So lots of players, lots of factors, lots of change, lots of things going on. This is the first first television broadcast. It was in 1936. Television was kind of showed images and showed it. The concept could work for the first time in 1928. We're going to talk about that in a minute. This is the first NBC, Radio Corporation of America. They were together then with their radio company, but they were, of course, experimenting with TV. This was the first broadcast. So I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to embed this video as a separate little chunk in the lecture.